We have a very serious dependency on oil. It makes us less secure nationally. It creates all kinds of issues. And so the question is, what do we do about that? And that's what I want to talk about for a few minutes. And I want to talk about it in the context of some news reports that have said recently that I and several others somehow did not support climate change legislation. Let me make clear what my position is. I have said on the floor of the Senate, I don't support cap and trade, quote unquote, around trade. So I've already seen these markets. I've seen the markets with respect to derivatives and swaps and all of the exotic instruments that have been created in order to be traded on these markets. I have no interest in the, quote, trade, unquote, portion of cap and trade, and will not be intending to support that. There are other ways for us to have a lower carbon future. I do believe that there's something happening to our climate that we should be attentive to. I do believe a series of no-regret steps, at the very least, make a lot of sense as we begin to address them. So let me just say that while I have said I do not intend to be supportive of the cap and trade approach, especially with quotes around trade, I think there are some things we can, will, and must do to address the issue of climate change and having a lower carbon future. Having said that, let me say that my hope is that the legislation that we have written already passed through the Energy Committee in this Congress will be brought to the floor for a debate, because it takes us significant steps towards addressing climate change, but most importantly, it will reduce our dependence on foreign oil and create, therefore, more national security and more energy security for our country by producing more American energy and by incentivizing the kinds of things that conserve, save, and create other forms of energy as well. So let me talk just for a bit about this bill, because some people say, well, we have to bring an energy bill to the floor combined with a climate change bill. I don't believe that. I think it'd be much smarter, in my judgment, to bring an energy bill to the floor that is already completed in the committee, passed out of the committee with a bipartisan vote. It's called the American Clean Energy Leadership Act. Bring that to the floor, debate it, pass it, get it to the President for signature, and do something very significant for our country's energy future. And then turn, when we have completed that, because that bill itself moves in the direction of climate change and addressing climate change, then turn to the issue of a climate change bill and how we create a lower carbon future. Now, we are told, well, you have to bring Waxman-Markey, or you have to do this or that. What we have to do, it seems to me, is to be smart. And the smart thing, in my judgment, would be to take the legislation that the United States Senate Energy Committee has produced that does all of the things I've just described, almost all of which contribute in a very positive way to addressing a lower carbon future, and all of which address the issue of greater energy security and greater national security by making us less dependent on foreign oil and making us more dependent on American-produced energy. I hope very much when people think about energy and climate change that a consideration will exist of bringing a good energy bill to the floor that is a significant step in the right direction toward climate change, and then at some point later bringing a climate change bill to the floor, because I think they are related but separate, and I think it would be much smarter to get the value and the success of an energy bill that's now out of the committee and ready to be dealt with by the Senate at some point very soon. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I make a point of order that a quorum is not present.
Clerk will call the roll.